Hey everyone, this is part one of a two-part episode.
Oh, you worked so hard. Congratulations on writing a dick joke at 3 a.m. Way to save the world.
It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, are two dear friends and co-hosts today.
Hi everyone, I am Ramona Ramirez, and we have a very special guest today. Honey, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Josh Higgins here, husband to Ramona Ramirez Higgins.
Hi! And
Hi.
Bravo TV backdoor fan? You weren't into it before this marriage got underway.
No way.
Okay.
Bullshit. You had watched Orange County.
You did?
That's true. But like, it was, I wasn't invested.
Now it was right-sized, as they might say. Yeah.
Now I'm invested. Yeah. Now it's a conversation piece between us and now the three of us.
What made you watch Orange County outside of this marriage and needing to show up on a podcast?
That's a great question. I think I had just heard like what a train wreck it was. And I was like, oh, I got to see that. I got to see that train wreck. So I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it delivered. It was a solid train wreck that started it opened the whole station.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I don't know, it was entertaining, but I wasn't like, oh, I need to go watch it. It's the new episode is Wednesday or whatever. And now I'm within a household that we're like, oh, tonight.
Yeah.
Yes. We schedule our lives by the Bravo lineup.
Yes.
It's normal.
Like sometimes if it feels like a day that is particularly slog-y, I'll text him like, New Beverly Hills tonight, ! And he'll send me a text like, oh, thank God. Just because sometimes you need that like Bravo bullshit. It's like a, piece of frosted cake at the end of the day that you're just like, oh yes, that's gonna be good. I'm gonna chill out with that for a bit. Yeah. Everything's gonna feel better. So yeah.
Oh.
I mean, Josh, when we started living together, you watched The Bachelor with me. And you watched whatever Bravo. I mean, listen, what I'm saying, not with me, is that if I had it on, you'd be in the room. And if I told you like, oh, this is some drama, you got to pay attention, you would. And then you would make the joke, hometowns. Babe, is this hometowns? What week is this? Is it hometowns? And that was really funny. So yeah, you've always been on board to watch whatever reality bullshit I've
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely on board.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, Josh, with now that this podcast is 100 episodes in, do you watch reality TV differently now that this is sort of like the thrust of how Ramona and I dig in?
First, congratulations.
Hey, thanks.
Yes,
honey.
that's
Thank you.
really amazing. I'm so, if I could veer off from your question a little bit, I'm just really, I'm really so proud of both of you and just like the dedication and just, I love listening to this. I think Ramona probably told you when I got my Spotify yearly thing, Therapeutic Dose was my number one listened to podcast. So, and yeah, I would listen to it originally to support, but now I'm into it for reals. So anyway, congratulations. I'm just so happy for you both that you have this. Anyway,
That's
to answer
so
your
kind. Thank you.
To answer your question, yes, I am. I watch it differently. I watch it differently because of this podcast. I think about my own therapy. I think about what I've learned, and I do apply it to how I watch. Not all the time. Some of it's just like so inane that I don't even know how to connect it to anything.
Facts.
But there is some behavior that I'm like, oh, I think that was me at one time. So I can definitely relate when I put it through that lens or look through that lens.
I love it. And okay, so you mentioned in your answer right now, therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Care to share a smidge about your journey with mental
Yeah.
health and therapy?
Yeah. Well, there was a time where I thought everything that I did was the right thing to do. And if it didn't resonate with others, then something was wrong with them. I was very dug into that belief. Then I met my lovely wife, Ramona Ramirez Higgins, who quickly got us into couples therapy even before we were married. And it really, it really helped both our relationship, but also me realize that I needed individual therapy too, and that my way wasn't particularly the best way. And it started, that's why that relationship in the past never worked. It honestly made me reflect on some things at times where I'm like, oh man, what an asshole. That's okay. I think that's okay. You just do better. You just always strive to do better. So I go to therapy weekly over the past couple months, twice a week. And Ramon and I still do our couples therapy. I feel like I've grown a ton, but even better than that, I feel like I'm like living just more peacefully. Like the things that would make me so just frustrated and angry, I'm able to kind of have a bit more empathy, see past them, try to understand why someone may, they piss me off, but I can help, like, maybe understand why they're taking the actions that they have. And it helps me not to be as angry, honestly. So, and I feel like just more empathy in the world is better for all of us. But yeah, it's been a real game changer for me, and my relationships with not only Ramona but with friends as well. I just like not being dug in to my own stupid beliefs anymore. It's so nice not to like
It's
have to
so,
just like do that. It's
yeah.
so much wasted energy.
And I swear to God, I had that feeling about Carl in this part of the reunion. He copped to everything. He was like, I
Yeah,
understand those are my words. I take response. It diffuses everything immediately. And
yeah,
I love that as a byproduct of my own therapy as well. Of like,
that's a really great point.
it takes so much resistance out of the world when I just go
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, that was my bad. Or if it's not a big deal for me to just take responsibility and be like, sorry, you can have the parking spot. Like honestly, on the
Hmm.
inside, I'm annoyed I was here first, but like, let's just not spend the rest of my day fighting about this and
Yeah.
villainizing this woman at the Coffee Bean parking lot. I was just there. It was my
Oh,
spot.
is this a recent story?
It's fresh. It's 30 minutes fresh. But honestly, obviously, it's that instinctual weird road rage that I think
Mhm.
is just becomes part of a system in Los Angeles. But
Yeah,
it's not worth spending my day being mad at the lady. I got
yeah.
my coffee. I got home. We're recording all as well.
Higgy, I'm going to get back to you, but just before I forget, Margie, I think that those kinds of interactions, those kinds of what would you call it? Just whatever, that kind of bullshit that you encounter in your day to day. It's that kind of stuff that I can see myself just seething and coming home and throwing my keys down. And Josh will be, what's wrong? And I'll say, this bitch fucking stole my goddamn parking spot. And those little incidents have the potential to really dysregulate me more than something quote unquote legit, because it touches on all those things that, my like, that's not fair. And you don't care about other people. And then it's like, I'm the only one that cares about other people. What's going to happen to society? Because everyone is like that lady. And it can just snowball and snowball. So even though it might seem like a small thing you did this morning, it's massive. That's where the work is for me a lot of the time, is not taking other people's driving personally, not taking something like a parking lot thing personally. And Josh knows, he's been in the car with me. And Higgy, I just want to say, I want to acknowledge the hard work you've done. And I'm
Hmm.
not just saying this like as your spouse. You mentioned that we got into couples therapy right away. I will say that we had been living together for barely 3 months when we packed up his car and moved from San Diego I had just moved to San Diego from LA. I was having a really hard time with that transition. That's a whole other story. Don't need to get into that now. He was offered a job at Obama for America to be the design director for the 2012 campaign, his reelection campaign. So we stuck our shit in a box. We rented an apartment over video, and then we drove to the Midwest. And I think I've shared a little bit before, like I lost my husband. You know, like Kyle Cook is a workaholic. I don't think that my husband is a workaholic. I did when we got to Chicago. I have since changed my mind, and not because I'm in denial, but because I've legitimately seen my husband put work away. But at this job, you were not available at all, like 24/7. I had never seen my husband with his face in his phone for just constantly. And now he had 2 phones. His deadlines, like everything was like, it's due
One
5
for
minutes
drugs,
ago.
one for work.
One was a burner.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I was stressed.
One
But
was
at
a
least
burner.
it was noble. At least we were doing work to save the nation and not trying to like get a new spritzer iced tea on the market.
No, exactly.
No,
and
no.
so,
THC soda.
but because I knew nobody, and because
Right.
I had nothing to occupy my time when we first got there until I got a job, and I eventually got a job at the campaign, which was the plan all along. They couldn't hire me until shit really got rolling. My point is that he was someone I didn't recognize. I had no friends. I did not understand until I started working at the campaign myself that his being unavailable was completely reasonable and understandable. And he still, when I was like, we are not communicating, we were fighting, neither of our needs were being met. And then definitely once we were actually working, no sleep, no time for like, a nice nourishing home cooked meal. Like you're just triage. It's just triage 24/7. You're just surviving. And the only thing that keeps you going is fucking election day, knowing it's going to be over soon. And yes, it's you're burning yourself out for a noble cause. But in the meantime, I did not want to have our relationship just shit the bed entirely. The only thing I knew how to do at the time was talk therapy. And so I found a therapist in Chicago, and this man would put his work down and we would go see her, and then he would go back to work. But you made time, even though it would have been completely understandable and reasonable for you to say, I don't have time to do this. Like, that's when I knew, like, he's in this. It was just one of those years that if we made it through that, we could make it through anything, I learned I had to not take his stuff personally. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Am I just rambling?
Yes.
So, Josh.
I'm joking.
That's so
that took
funny.
me by surprise.
Listen,
that's the honesty you learn in therapy.
But yes, but my point is that he made the time, he made the space, he was in it. He didn't necessarily like going; it wasn't convenient, but he was like, "I'm going to do this," and you have always done that. And your dedication to your mental health for yourself, for our relationship, for our kid. Mm-hmm. Another thing I really admire about you is that you don't hide what you do for your mental health. You share with your coworkers, your friends. Like, this is a successful professional white man walking in the world, walking and talking the work. And I'm so grateful that you do that. I don't think you understand how important that is. Margie and I often talk about, when we speak our truths, it gives someone else permission to get in touch with their own. And so I don't think it can ever be underestimated when you share your success story with going to therapy and doing whatever else you do to heal.
And even making, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, everyone should do it. It's just like so important.
For sure.
I often tell like friends who are, maybe having difficulties with their communication, their marriage, and like, oh, you should go. It's like so transformative. Oh, we've been a couple of times, but sometimes it doesn't seem like there's anything to talk about. I'm like, oh, there's shit to talk about. You're just not talking about it. Like, so say the thing that you're not saying. I often say too, even if there's not shit to talk about, it's good just to have like open communication, even if it's not a thing, just to like openly communicate with your spouse is like awesome with a, third party there to, guide you is just like really great. Just
For
to give you
sure.
feedback, I think Ramona and I were in a session a couple of weeks ago, and I think like the therapist said maybe 3 words the whole time we talked.
Yeah.
We were just talking in front of her the whole time, and then at the end, she's like, "That was really great, you guys." And so I don't know.
Offer safety and
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That can't be underestimated.
yeah, truly for everybody involved. I can be safe to say whatever I need to say to my partner when there's a sound third party in the space.
Yeah.
And Josh, I just appreciate you being really visible about being in therapy because at least for me, it was the girl's job to go to therapy. Like, ugh, something's wrong with you. Go figure it out and then come back to this relationship when you're healed.
Oh my
and
God.
it took, but that was just like a generational thing, like, so, and I love so many of my friends and their partners are in couples therapy and are having that experience. Like, but a lot of the men especially did not have it modeled for them,
Yeah.
like the crazy mothers of my classmates went to therapy, but at least I'd heard the word therapy. And I feel like for dudes of a certain age, that just wasn't even like in the lexicon. So anyways, I love that it's talked about on Bravo. I love that we get to talk about it here and that you're willing to bring like a bass voice into the conversation so that people know that it applies equally to gals and guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really, it's like such a dumb stigma, as many others are too, that they go between genders. It's just like so dumb. Yeah. We should all strive to be better. Doesn't matter what your
Misogyny.
gender.
Well, and again, on that summer house stage, I would want to be Carl before I'd want to be anyone else up there.
Totally.
Teeth and all, lemur and all. Like I just
100.
New teeth and all.
I know, and they look great. Look, and I loved him for being like, I see what you guys see. It's not great. I was
love that.
self-conscious. I
I
know.
love that too.
Oh,
It was
God.
great.
But
Broke
I'd
my
be him.
heart.
I don't want to be Jesse Solomon. I don't want to be Kyle Cook. I don't
Fuck,
want to
no.
be Craig Conover, for Christ's sake.
Oh my
So-
God. Oh my God. What an epic piece of shit. Anyway,
Wow.
honey, I'm really happy you're here.
Yeah,
I
me
am
too. Thanks for inviting me.
so proud of you and all your hard work. And I love you so much. I'm so excited. All right. Shall we get into this?
Yeah,
I guess
let's do it.
Before we start, I'm sure everyone's heard by now that Paige is not coming back for season 10 of Summer House. She put an announcement out yesterday. And I mean, I had a feeling. I honestly
I did not. I was shocked.
No,
What's she going to do? Just rot in bed now all the time?
No
I'm joking.
way. I
I'm
think that-
joking.
I know. At the end of her statement, it said, "This is not the last you've seen of me, like, believe me," or something like that. And either Bravo's going to give her own show or, I mean, she knows. She and Lindsay have been so good about acknowledging this show is why I have everything else. And I love that they do that. They're not out there like hiding it, that their opportunities were just like, oh, random. I commend them for that. So anyway, I think Bravo's going to give her own show. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised. She also launched her pajama line named after her cat or something. So she's doing fine. She'll make this, she'll monetize this experience. She'll continue to.
I have yet to listen to Giggly Squad because I don't think that it's for my age. I don't know. I don't know if I'll like it. I think I haven't listened to it because I'm like, I'm going to be so annoyed. I just know I'm going to be annoyed, but maybe I won't be annoyed. Maybe
It's worth listening to the episode where she announced the breakup because you
Yes.
really will see how hard Craig screwed her. She was as lovely as she presented on the reunion episode last night when she said, I made it. It was beautiful. I made it so nice for him. And she really did. She said, he's a wonderful guy. I want him to have all the best. And she was weeping because that's a real 4-year relationship. However toxic it wound up being, it was real. And then, yes, other times they just sort of spiral into Gen Z language that's out of my depth and I can't
Hilarious.
keep up.
I know.
But
I know.
there's, It is what it is.
So,
It's two girls giggling. So
yes, I should listen to that episode. So, we are discussing Summer House Season 9, Episode 17. This is part 2 of the reunion. We resume with Lexi and Ciara talking again about birthday party gate. Lexi didn't mean to bring Ciara into all of the drama. All of her unhappiness was supposed to be directed at Jesse. And Ciara said it would have been great if you could have made that clear. And listen, as far as your birthday party goes, I didn't even go to Paige's birthday party. And Paige said truth. And I loved that it seemed, and obviously I don't know, I'm completely 110% projecting. But Paige wasn't like, yeah, that's true. It's like, my friend doesn't like to go to birthday parties. I don't care if she comes or not. I love her. I know she loves me. I'm secure in our friendship. You know, I bet Ciara would go to a milestone birthday. I bet she would go to a 40 birthday or a 50 birthday. But
it was Paige's 30th that she
it was
skipped.
her 30th?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. She said,
All
you
right.
skipped my 30th birthday. She didn't like birthdays.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's messier than that. It's a little more involved with Jesse and you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it just, at this point, I was like, get on with it, girls. Jesse just isn't that intriguing of a tent pole in this whole situation.
Right.
So.
Well, Andy agreed with you and he said, we need to move on.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It was funny.
He basically
asked,
said, this is a nothing burger. Let's go.
Right. And then he asked Lexi, where are you with Jesse? And she said she's mad at him. And she's mad at him because what he said prevented her from having a relationship with the other women. And then Jesse says, you're making me seem like some kind of mastermind. And Ciara said, he's not that smart, Lexi. He's not that smart to be a mastermind. But I think he did paint a picture of her that wasn't accurate. And then he didn't take any accountability. And he didn't show her any respect or consideration. And that's shitty. And he's like, saying that he's not a mastermind with this completely, what's the expression? Like if you are saying something sarcastic, but your face matches it, he just looked like a dick.
Well,
Anyway.
He was just playing both sides the whole time. That whole relationship, he was playing both sides. He wanted to be able to flirt and be the Jesse that everyone knows, and then also flirt. He just played both sides. It was crazy. It was so obvious too. They didn't see it, but we got to see it because of the cameras. But it was really obvious that he was playing both sides.
Yeah, it was so dumb. The second Lexi's gone for a weekend, he's like all in, flirting with Ciara and like grinding on her and rubbing on her. It was like, dude, there are cameras here. Like what?
His foot on her in the pool. This feels good.
Oh my God.
Yep. Asking Craig, how do you stay with one woman when there's so many hot women around? And Craig's answer was disgusting. We've already talked about that.
He's like a dog. He just lives in the moment, and at any given moment, he does what's going to make it easiest for him. And he created a whole mess out of it. And like you said, Ramona never took responsibility, even as we go through this moment where they like go to break, and Jesse's still in the dressing room with the boys, being like, "Oh, she's just projecting onto me. She's saying stuff that she feels like it's facts." It's like can you not see? You got your toe sucked. And I still get annoyed that it's reduced to a toe suck. He was in a room with 3 naked people who had just boned. It's not just like clothed people in a salon sucking one naked toe. Yeah. This is like the room was musty. Everyone was there for sex. Like, what are we doing? Anyways, I've had it with Jesse.
The room was musty. Oh my
right?
God. Yeah,
3 people
you're right.
in that tiny ass room sweating.
He consciously put himself in that position.
And stayed there for 37 minutes.
Yeah.
Just if he would just say that, it'd be,
It's not the behavior of someone that has said, I love you after 11 dates.
Well, I just feel like all his interactions with both the rest of the cast, with all the cast, it was all to get them to love him in some way. Like he just wanted people to like him, and he would say whatever it took to, like, in that moment, to what you're saying, Margie, like he just like lived in the moment. And if that moment he needed, like, always needed validation that he was being loved or liked. And I don't know, that's what it felt like to me.
I think that's right on. And I even carrying into the reunion, he'll take accountability on stage saying like, I wish I'd done things differently and I'm sad it's ending like this. And then 5 seconds later backstage, he's like, it's her fault. She's saying, it's like, God, dude.
God, dude. Seriously. I don't know. You want to...
There's a lot that, I mean, it's just sort of rehashing everything we talked about, but I did think that Lindsay sort of summed up the whole Jesse-Lexi experience in a pretty wise way with like the closing argument to put the case to bed, which is that everyone saw how much chemistry they had and that they really liked each other, but both of them became too concerned with their outside perception and public opinion, and that started to infect the relationship and continues to on this stage. And first it was Lexi feeling like Jesse made her look like a fool for all of his flirting and toe sucking and all of that. And then Jesse felt Lexi was making him seem like an asshole, and they got all caught up in protecting their images and they lost sight of their relationship. And it's that 12-step saying of like, you can't save your ass and your face at the same time. Like either you take accountability for what you did and move forward as a better person, or you're constantly tap dancing to save face. You can't achieve both. And that's sort of where, to me, it feels like we left them. And that's fine.
I haven't heard that in a long time, but you're absolutely right. And it's more exhausting to save your ass and your face at the same time. It's exhausting, and you have to like remember your story. You have to remember your story.
Saving face is lying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
If I'm trying to like pretend something's, whatever, we know what saving face means. Anyway, everyone applauds Lindsay's read of the situation. And then Kyle, Ramona, I thought of you because sometimes I don't mind Kyle. He lives in a very specific box in my file cabinet. But in this moment, I was just like, okay, sir. Kyle was like, oh, that's what I said on the last, that was my rant. And everyone's like, shut up. Andy was like, don't mansplain. And he was like, I'm not trying to steal your thunder. But this idiot.
Yeah, I did.
As soon as he realized he was stealing thunder, he started trying to backtrack on that. But.
And that was sweet Carl, who you only heard him say, Kyle, your delivery. He was trying to coach his friend back into the fold here, but Kyle is just a little bit of a lost cause.
I did. Did I pause it and look at you and be like, what the fuck? Do you see this guy? Did I? Yeah. I'm sure yeah. He's like, I don't know, babe. Can you just move on? Who cares? Poor Josh is so tired of my shit. Anyway, yes, but Kyle really, he was such a bummer. He was such a bummer when he did that. He was a bummer a lot in this episode, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
I thought of you this whole time because, like, again, I usually have a relatively high Kyle tolerance. At this time, I was like, oh, now I'm in Ramona's experience of Kyle, where I'm like, just shut up, dude. You're making everything worse, and you're embarrassing us all.
Oh, God. He should. I wonder if he feels embarrassed himself. That's who should be embarrassed, is him.
I don't
Some
think
healthy
so.
shame. I don't think so either.
You don't go
self-aware.
Yeah, no, you don't go DJ around the country and like abandon your wife who's trying to have a baby if you have any sense of self or shame or any of those things.
My God.
I'm a psycho, and I went on his Instagram to look at his DJ schedule, and it's literally every Saturday, day party, night party, Boston, just like all over the East Coast. He's never home. So he works Monday through Friday, travels on Saturday, and he's probably just like laid out on Sundays. Insane. I mean, good for him. Enjoy your life and whatever, but like, holy crap, he's really not home.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oy. So Andy asks Jesse and Lexi, will you guys be friends? Jesse said he tried. Lexi says she's good. And we say goodbye to Emerald. Bye, Emerald. Hope we see you next season.
Unceremoniously.
I know. Like, dude, come on. Any hoot. So they take a break, but the cameras do not. And we see Lexi tell Ciara that she's sorry and she didn't want Ciara to be in the crossfire. She tells her that Jesse said things that made it sound like Ciara was into Jesse. And then we cut to the dressing room where Jesse has the ball to tell Carl and Kyle that Lexi is projecting things that I never did. And I was like, sure, Jan.gif. He's so fucking annoying, dude.
I do want to say, oh, sorry,
Please.
Evelyn's squeaking a toy. Just so many noises in this house today. I loved what Lexi said to Ciara. She was really clear in making her apology, and she said, I'm very sorry, and I would genuinely love a friendship with you in the future whenever you are ready for that. And I thought that was like a lovely addition to an apology. It's not a demand. It's just like, I'm available for this and I understand you're hurt and need space. And so if and when the space clears for me, like, come find me. I can't wait to see if we can, have something valuable. So I loved that.
So gracious, so mature, such, I want to say, like living amends when you're ready, Ciara, when you're ready. It was so clean. Like Lexi is, like, none of us are perfect, but it feels like she's clean, you know? Like she's not going to have to walk into a room and see someone and go, oh, fuck, because there's unfinished business. Like she might feel uncomfortable if she sees Sarah out in an event or something, but she's not going to have to, like you said, choose between saving her ass or her face. Like it's clean. And that's part of what we learned in 12-step rooms too, is that is it after the 9th step that like after you make your amends, you're like, great, I can walk in this world. I don't need to like run away if I see someone that I have. Like the business is finished, whether it's internally or you've said sorry, you've taken responsibility for your side. So there's nothing else that you need to do except for, I'm telling myself this, there's nothing else I have to do in those situations but forgive myself. If I walk into a situation where I've already said I'm sorry and I'm still feeling bad, it's not anything to do with them. It's because I'm judging the shit out of myself still, and I haven't forgiven myself. And that is still my final frontier in my own recovery and therapy, is to fucking forgive myself.
Well, and I feel like that's why Lexi got emotional, because the makeup artist came in for touch-ups and kind of interrupted this moment. And Lexi turned to Gabby and with tears in her eyes. And Gabby misread it, I think, by saying like, he's not worth a tear, talking about Jesse. But I think Lexi was having that experience of like, you extend an apology and you don't get that, like, don't worry about it. I love you. I can't wait to get to know you. No, Ciara was like, okay, thank you for that. And I think Lexi was just living in that feeling of like, I didn't afford myself the opportunity to get to know these girls, and I regret that so bad. I've done everything I can to clean up my side of the street, and I'm uncomfortable and sad that it's not healed, or that I can't, they say in Al-Anon that, what is it? Faith is giving up hope of a better past. Is that what it is?
I think it might be forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That's what
it
is giving up
forgiveness.
hope of a better past. And I think she was having that moment of like, that the hope of the better past was leaving her in that moment, and it was coming out in tears, and it sort of broke my heart. But
yeah. And it was also, like there was a lot coming at her fast and furious in this whole package. And I totally agree. I think her tears were partly like release because it was so uncomfortable. And also like she made herself really vulnerable. She made no fucking excuses. I don't even think her saying Jesse was saying things to pit us against each other, I don't even think she was using that as an excuse. She was sharing her genuine experience. And when you apologize to someone and you don't get a reaction that would make you feel comfortable, which is not that person's job, FYI, she made herself really vulnerable, is what I'm saying. And I appreciated it. I appreciated seeing the tears. I like Lexi. The editors did her dirty. Jesse did her dirty. And I have a feeling she'll be back next season. So, anywho.
I have a spicier take.
Please,
I love
Higgy,
it.
come on.
I felt it was a bit performative.
The tears or the apology?
The apology.
Go on.
And I don't know. I just that's what I felt. I felt like there was some other motive to it, and like wanting to be back on the show and making sure that she was in everyone's good graces. That could just be my, I often go to what's your motivation. I like to think that it was genuine, but for some reason I was feeling like it wasn't. I could be projecting too. I often want people to like me, and so I'll go a little bit over the top to make sure I get the reaction I wanted or I want. And so maybe because she went over the top and it was very performative, she didn't get the reaction she wanted. That's where the tears came from.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Interesting.
And I wouldn't put it, look, if you're on a reality TV show, there's a certain personality type that's drawn to that kind of occupation. So you might be right that there was something going on of like, I also want to protect my job here. So let me see if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like she wasn't that interested the whole season or summer, really, to really get close to the other women that much. But then all of a sudden in the reunion, it was like seemed very important to her, and that seemed off to me a little bit.
And you don't think it's because she was just trying to reiterate to them with every fiber in her being that it was because of Jesse's influence?
I think that was part of it, but I think the other part was the motivation to be on the show next summer.
Listen, we know how the sausage is made. I can see that. Also, Josh,
Yeah.
I do notice that is something that I don't want to say it's one of your triggers, but it's something that you recognize like right away in other people. What's their motive?
I'm always scanning for that.
Yeah. And scanning is a coping skill to help you feel safe and prepare yourself for what could be coming. You got to be guarded. You got to be guarded. Yeah. Oh yeah, Higgy, when I met you, you were super like, when it's like easy breezy and it's fun and you're dating, but like when we got to Chicago, for example, and we were having a hard time, you were very defended. And I was like trying to like get him to not be defended. And the more I tried to do that, the more defended he would be. And it was so hard, but you are no longer defended. And when you are, it's like for 5 seconds and you recognize it immediately now.
2.0.
And you're able to what's that?
2.0.
Higgy 2.0.
It's a good model.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I met Beta Higgy, and then we had Higgy 1.0, and now we're on Higgy 2.0. I'm just joking. You were always there. Anyway.
Now
Sorry, Margie, I'm
Lindsay
talking
2.0.
so much. Yes, you talk about Lindsay, please.
Oh, God. She's my least favorite topic, so I'll breeze right on through this. So this was, Andy tries to get us to believe that Lindsay showed up as Lindsay 2.0 because she's pregnant and cool as a cucumber and, dare I say, soft.
Soft.
Oh, Lord, that word has become like a weird slur on this show, and I object. Then we get into the segment. I hadn't really noticed this about Jesse's total stank face during Lindsay's pregnancy announcement. I hadn't noticed it in the airing of the show, but my God, when they played it back, he sure did. And I will say, this is the one time I'm 100% on Jesse Solomon's side, because he said, I was just surprised between the epic speech she gave, a 9-minute speech leading into a simple pregnancy announcement, and the fact that months ago she was engaged to a man who lived in this house and is now pregnant by another man whose identity has not been revealed. Like, I'm with Jesse in a way where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, of course you're happy for someone when they're full of new life and getting ready to open that chapter. But like, I don't blame him. And listen, he's not smart. Sierra said it. So I think he was just sitting there going like, what? Because she had started off with like 9 years ago, I showed up, blah, blah, blah. And then I made a timeline with who. And then you can't imagine what would happen. And you never can plan things. And I would have been like, my head would be spinning too. So
that was all for Carl.
It was all for Carl.
It was all for Carl.
She's a monster.
Go on, honey.
It's so clear she's hung up on Carl still. So clear. Everything. That was all to like get at him and make him jealous, or not sure.
Make him feel like a loser.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
you lost out on this.
Yeah. Look
was
at what
Carl
you're
there
missing
during the
out
announcement?
No, but she knows he's going to see this shit.
100%.
Oh, got it. Yes. Okay.
100%.
And that they'd all be talking about it all weekend.
They'll
He
be
showed
talking
up the
about
next
it.
day when
Yeah,
that poster-sized sonogram was over the mantle.
It gave her the opportunity to be able to put that there.
Right?
Like, if you just walked in and put that there, it would be like, what? Like, but with the big speech, it's like, oh, okay. That was all for Carl. And it feels like, every time they would do cutaway and talk to her, what are those called when they talk to them individually?
An aside?
Or in the moments.
Yeah. She would always say, oh, I don't like, Carl this, Carl that. And it was like so clear. She was like, oh my God, you're still so hung up on Carl. Yeah, every
Even
time.
in this segment of the reunion, she like tries to take weird, cheap shots. And God bless Carl, because even in this moment, Andy asked him how he felt about it. And he's like, I was happy for Lindsay being pregnant. He goes, also surprised, but legitimately happy. And I believe every word he said. And I also believe he's done. He doesn't care about Lindsay anymore the way she still is keeping tabs on him, you know?
Yeah. He just takes the high road. I think it's really, really, it's a great road to take.
Preach.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that she's still interested in him romantically, but I think she's still really reeling from the humiliation of having their engagement ended on TV.
Yeah.
Hilarious, because she contributed to that the whole season by
I know.
fighting with him.
Goodness.
I love that she's boiled it down to that moment. You broke us up on TV. And it's like, did you watch the whole season prior where you were yelling at him? You guys couldn't show up on the same day because you
making
hated
him
each
feel
other.
this big because he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. And like, oh, that doesn't
Carl
that doesn't
accusing him
turn
of
me
being-
on.
Oh,
Like, what turns me on is a man who's ambitious. It's like, oh my God, you guys are engaged. What are you saying right now? This is insane.
she certainly is on record contributing to the demise of that engagement. So
I agree. I agree.
I don't feel
think
sorry
she's-
for her, but she feels sorry for herself.
She does. Yeah. She's angry still. And I mean, I can't say 100. I would not be able to look you two in the eye and say that I can't relate. Like there have been times when I've wanted someone, obviously Josh is before I met you.
Wait, what?
There was someone before me?
Yeah. You know, like wanting them to experience humiliation in whatever way, shape, or form, in that desperate hope that that would diminish my humiliation or my, feelings of embarrassment. And it doesn't work. Anyway.
And then let's talk teeth, you guys.
Oh,
let's
yes.
talk teeth. It's time. So we get Gabby talking shit behind Carl's back. And boy, this was a bad look for Gabby.
It was.
I named her MVP a couple episodes ago, and now I'm like, woof, this is not cute. We see a clip of her making fun of his big ass teeth and how his non-alc lover boy adds nothing to the party. And Gabby defends it in a way that I just don't buy. She says, anytime she talks with her girlfriends about their exes, they only talk shit. Those guys can do nothing right. But I hope this encourages her to change her behavior and I appreciate Carl for being honest about how hurtful it was. Because, and I always say, it's not actually helpful to the person going through the breakup, because all it does is center their ex in their thoughts. And yes, it's easy to hate them, but what comes in the silence on the other side of all the yelling is the ache for what you loved about them also being dissolved and gone. And you cause further damage by being unkind to someone who is theoretically no longer a part of the equation anymore. So I thought it was rude. You know that TikTok sound where they go, that was rude. That was pretty fucking rude. That was rude. Gabby. Carl's so lovely. He immediately relays, Gabby texted me an apology and I believe her. And then he gets into it. His teeth are a sensitive subject. And I love this man. I feel like he should date a 50-year-old woman because these people they all look at him like he's a crazy person for revealing so much. But apparently his teeth got knocked out by his brother with a hockey stick when he was little. Then he took a baseball to the face. He had yellow teeth on TV his first season. He brushed them with a hairbrush on screen and got made fun of for all of these things. He had dental work done that had to be done because obviously his teeth are soft and fragile or whatever. Before the season, he had to get dental work done. They did a bad job. They put in giant teeth. And this is when he says, they were fucking embarrassing and huge. I was really down about it. I know exactly what people see. I have a lot of self-awareness. And I was like, oh, Carl.
Oh my God. Poor Carl. And it's talked about his teeth are a subject on every single podcast that discusses Summer House. And
they were distracting
They were distracting last season.
But now they look great.
They do.
Did you see they have their own Instagram?
His teeth
I'm
do?
joking.
Oh
I'm
my
joking.
God. Higgy.
Immediately start that account, Josh.
Carl's teeth.
From season 1 to present day.
Josh, you just recently started watching Summer House from the beginning. So you're watching season 1. You're what, about 8 or 9 episodes in? Can you share what your observations are about Carl season 1 through Carl season 8 and 9?
He's matured a lot. Yeah, he was very much part of the group, at least in season 1, where he just, wanted to, he wasn't very respectful of, I forget what one of the twins' names are, that was on at that time. He was not respectful of her. A lot of his actions, he didn't think about how they would affect other people. And cut to today, like, completely different person. I don't know if you can attribute it all to sobriety, but I'm sure that helped a lot. He just seems a lot more self-aware of himself as well as those around him. So that's my observation. A lot of growth, but what is that? 9 years, 8 years, something like that.
And a lot of life in between.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
you're right. It's
such
a
hard life.
confluence of everything. Brother
Just
and
tragedy, addiction.
And coming to the end of your substance abuse days and acknowledging that, like, cocaine and booze, like, works for people until it doesn't. And he was just a big New York cokehead booze hound. I met tons of them when I lived there in my 20s, and it's nice to see someone who's like, and this is no longer making me an effective human being or anyone I can be proud of. So
yeah,
I wonder if he's even outgrowing this cast.
it feels like it.
A little bit, yeah.
it does.
Especially with that Gabby commentary of like, he brings nothing to the party. It's like, doesn't he? I don't know. But this is where I'm old. And to me, the best party scene was when he sat Sierra down and told her in specifics what he likes about her. And it graciously accepted her saying, I'm not going to date you. To me, I was like, that's the party that has my whole heart. So,
I mean, one of the things that I still, I don't go to 12-step rooms anymore. Being of service is a really big, it's a big, a tenet, a pillar of 12-step rooms. And it was one that I really liked because if I walked into a situation where I was feeling uncomfortable or itchy, just how can I help? And it wasn't to avoid my feelings, but it's like, get out of myself. I could sit there and just be consumed with my shame, my inner dialogue that's probably anxiety fueled and full of judgments to myself. Or I can just be like, do you need me to stack a chair? Can I grab you a coffee? How are you doing? And Carl, when Gabby said he doesn't contribute, I took a lot of umbrance with that. And I don't mean just like the flashback to him unpacking a box, but he helps set up. He asks people how they are. He is being of service by walking his talk. Like, he's not just not drinking. He seems to be really, for the short amount of time he's been in 12-step rooms, it feels like he's been on his recovery has been for he gives like long time recovery. You know what I mean? His ego just does not seem like it enters the picture at all, except for like in a really clean way, like telling Ciara how he felt and, not being afraid to be a dork, Like, I really like Carl, and I don't think he's fucking faking it. And maybe he is. Maybe I'm being completely naive, but it doesn't feel like it.
No, especially with something like the lemur energy girl, Lil, like he hadn't dated anyone since Lindsay, and he had to it's like making the first pancake. Like, it's not great. Like, it's still whatever, but he had to do that on TV and he fucked it up and it was weird and it was not what anyone would choose, but Carl's good reality TV because he's willing to make the first pancake on screen and everyone else wants to show up on the third or fourth,
So good.
Oh my God, Margie, I love that. Carl is the first pancake. I love that.
And that's why I like watching him because we're all the first pancake. I won't go out into the world with first pancake vibes, but I certainly, my dear friends, you get to see so much of my first pancakes. And, and I appreciate Carl like letting us see his because we're all that.
I love you for your first pancakes, and they're delicious.
They're fine. They're just not as cute. You know, they all taste the same. If you ate them in the dark, you'd never know, but it looks splotchy and stupid and misshapen and the pan's too hot in the middle. And, you know, it just
You
takes
got to
a
make the
minute.
adjustments for the second, and
Yeah.
third, and fourth pancake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go to a flashback where he's talking about his brother. You know, it's the anniversary of his passing, and that also happens to fall on Lindsay's, birthday, like around her birthday or on her birthday, right? Did he learned about it on her birthday?
Yes. His
didn't
brother
he?
passed on the 10th and he got the call on the 11th, I guess. And so, which is Lindsay's birthday. So those two, those are intertwined for him forever.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, those
absolutely.
two moments.
And he's sad because they don't have that kind of friendship anymore. And she was really there for him when that happened. And that makes the anniversary of his brother's passing that much more difficult. Oh, God. And Andy asked Carl if he misses his friendship with Lindsay, and he starts getting emotional and says, "Of course I do. We had fun together. She was there for me. I miss their friendship." And it's an adjustment to get used to it not being there. And
Lindsay looked emotional too. She looked emotional.
She looked emotional, yes.
She would never put words on her first pancake, but that was her first pancake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's so lovely. He says he has a lot of love for her family and for her. She's an amazing person. And we just weren't right in a relationship. And this, I think, is no truer words ever spoken. He said, losing a friend, no matter what the situation, it sucks. And I think, romantic breakups are one thing and they're scarring in their own special ways. But losing a friend has this like long-term ache, at least in my experience, where like, I remember everything that you were so connected for years. And then when that goes away, it's just sort of like the lights went off in that apartment in my heart. And sometimes I open the door to be like, oh, yeah, it's still vacant. It's like, it's sad.
It's so sad. You're absolutely right. That's the perfect way to describe it. It is such a different ache and such a different loneliness than when a romantic relationship dissolves. Oh, my God, Margie, you're so right. But she's so defended. You're right. She won't make the first pancake.
No, because Andy says, do you miss your friendship with Carl? And she goes, I don't know if I'm there yet. I'm like, tell your face from 5 seconds ago when the camera flashed on you, when he was saying he misses you and appreciates your family. And you, like, come on, dude. Be a person.
Know. Part of her answer, I was like, you know what? That's fair. And I think it's honest. I hope she's open to it. I don't know if she will be, but.
I don't think it was honest. It wasn't
No?
honest.
Talk to me. Talk to us.
No, that was continuing her narrative that she already has. It's like this consistent narrative that like Carl, I have no feelings for him, and it's clear she does. And so, if she was honest, she would have explained it the way her face looked.
Mm-hmm. And what would she have said? Do you think, if she was making her first pancake? What do you think what do you think's underneath that defensiveness?
Probably the same thing that Carl said. I think she would probably say that right back and say, yeah, I do. I miss our friendship too.
Because they had 8 years of history as friends,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a lot it's a lot. It's a formative time of human growth. That was in their late 20s and 30s. Like that was
It's actually such a lie that she didn't say it because 8 years, like everything that happens in 8 years between two people, there's no way you just turn that off. And it's like, oh, you know what I mean? So I don't think she was being honest, which is too bad for her. Really, really sad for her.
It is.
Because that energy's going somewhere in her body and she's carrying it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And as close as she could come to it, because Andy mentions that she'd offered words of support to Carl when they were out at the club on the anniversary of his brother's passing. And Andy asked, like, why would she do that? And she said, well, that is the hardest thing Carl's ever gone through in his entire life. And it's worth acknowledging regardless of our history of our past. So if she just ended at that's worth acknowledging, we would have had something. But then she's like, regardless of our history of our past, where he wronged me on national television. It's like, oh, God. Honestly, and she gets worse as this goes on, where I'm just like, His brother is dead, dude. Can this not be about your broken engagement that no one gives a shit about anymore? And you shouldn't either because you have a child here now. And Carl respectfully kept his distance from the baby. Like, he's so wonderful. Like, what is
I
your
know.
problem?
I know.
I think that adds to it, though.
Yeah,
for
you're
her.
right. You're
What
right.
do you mean? What do you
I think
mean,
that adds
Higgy?
to it. He's being genuine and respectful, and she's like, it makes it worse for her. Like, if he was a dick, it would probably, like, that's kind of, I think, what she would want. It would make it easier for her to just like handle all this and be able to like point at it and go, see, that's the real Carl. But I think it makes it worse for her that he is so respectful and genuine.
On and off camera, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
he's everywhere. And that's one of the things that like I learned in and really appreciated about 12-step recovery is that, you know, I was taught in the Al-Anon rooms that you can be and should be the same person anywhere you are, anytime.
Yes.
You're the same
yes.
person at work, with your friends, in your home life, with your tax accountant. Like you get to be yourself everywhere you go. And I feel like Lindsay, like you're saying, Josh, turns on her PR persona in these moments. And it's so nasty and it doesn't serve her. She thinks she's like spinning a story that makes her look great, but it just makes her look kind of pathetic, in my opinion.
God. Well, I know that I mean, from what she's told us, I understand. I logically and compassionately understand why she is so defended and why her ego is in the driver's seat and why I mean, I don't think I have the same personality as Lindsay. Honey, do you think no, you guys don't think, okay, good. But I understand that, that fierce need to be like, I'm okay on the outside and nothing you guys can say is going to fucking hurt me, you know?
100%.
And I know that when I get like that, when I get like not holier than thou, but maybe even like too cool for school. What am I trying to say? Like when I'm so scared that I turn it into like this tough persona, it's because, yeah, I'm scared, you know? So I can kind of relate to what motivates Lindsay. That's what I'm trying to say.
I totally relate to it. It's just not real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I totally relate to it and understand why.
Yeah, I mean, she's coping. She's coping with the unresolved trauma she has about being abandoned by her mother when she was fucking 2. That is some deep, cavernous, primordial ooze pain. I really hope that she's able to go in, lean into it and nurture it and heal. You know, I do. I do. It's deep and profound.
Well, to me, it feels like she's about to put new trauma on her own baby because we head into this section about Turner, the father of her daughter, who was, you know, MIA during the season. And Andy asked would her need for privacy or his need for privacy mesh with her very public life. And while Lindsay reports he's a great dad and their romantic relationship is on hold, a lot of the reason for that is because there's tensions about Lindsay posting the baby. The fact that this was a segment in this reunion episode, I find so disturbing. And Lindsay says this as if it's okay. She goes, it's a struggle. Dad is private, mom is public. And what does that make baby? It makes baby a baby. It makes baby off limits till it's 18 and it can tell you what it wants. Look at Andy Cohen's feed. Like occasionally you'll catch a glimpse of his kids, but it's his face. It's all dad focused when he's got his kids whining in the background or whatever it is. Like, I can't even believe she could frame it like that. Baby is baby until baby tells you. Maybe it's just because I watched that documentary recently about like kid influencers and how profoundly damaging that is. And I watched this new series on Bravo, Next Gen NYC, which is the children of the reality stars on Bravo, who've like some of their parents have stolen all their money. Like do not put your kids in that position, Lindsay. Like I'm with Turner. I just didn't even understand how this is a conversation. So
a thought I had last night when she said that basically they're just co-parenting.
Mm-hmm.
It also reaffirmed that it felt like the pregnancy was also to get back at Carl.
the big celebration around it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just thought it was because
it just was so clear that she rushed into this pregnancy and relationship.
And that she chose someone who's like, so it's Turner, who's like a super wealthy, you know, like everything that Carl is not. He is ambitious and wealthy and like he's hard where Carl is soft.
Yeah.
It's like, well, and now you're co-parenting, which is lovely. This baby seems like it is meant to be on this planet. So I'm glad it's here. But like, she still tries to craft this fantasy as she talks about, you know, we get into a segment about Carl and Lil, God bless. And Lindsay said that she wasn't annoyed that Carl brought another girl to the house, especially on a weekend she wasn't there. But she was annoyed that he talked to her about where I conceived my baby. And she's like, first of all, we didn't conceive that baby on any bed. I'm like, oh, you just told us you're in a platonic relationship and now we're supposed to believe you were like fucking on a ceiling fan and nowhere else. Like, get over yourself. You are a liar. And you just contradicted yourself in the worst, most embarrassing way. And I don't know.
I can't even remember where we conceived.
We were naked for 6 months straight. I couldn't imagine which time is the one that got me pregnant. Shut up.
Carl.
Right. And 100%. That's exactly what that was to say. Because I think her sex life with Carl, she spoke about it on the show last season, was, you know, not, there just wasn't a lot of it happening because now we understand the relationship was falling apart. It's hard to get in the sack with someone who you're separating from in that way. But I think she's trying to save face in that way. Like, I'm fucking all over the place. I don't know how I got pregnant because all I do is do it raw. It's like, no. And then she's like, and now Turner spends the night in bed with me platonically. We do not touch. I'm like, what is
do you think he stays in the bed with her? I've just figured he slept on the couch.
He probably does. But I guess again, West, who's like in his like the most hormonal stage of his life, when Andy asked, when Turner spends the night, are you guys friends with benefits? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And West was like, what? Like, he can't even conceive of being in a space with a woman after sunset where you don't do it, you know?
His brain
I
blew
totally
up.
missed that.
It did. He was like, he looked completely like impossible. It just hadn't occurred to him that such a thing could even be an option. So
West. Yeah. Andy said, hey, Kyle, what is different about Carl now after all these years? And Kyle said he's super comfy in his own skin. And I agree. He's fucking vulnerable. And it doesn't even mean he has to be like, I'm crying, I'm vulnerable. He's just fucking like honest and no pretenses. And that's all vulnerability is. It's not a big fucking deal. Like I always say, it's not a big fucking deal. It might feel uncomfortable, but it's not a big deal at the end of the day. And if someone isn't comfortable with your honesty or your vulnerability, that's theirs to work out. But yeah, I love that he's comfortable in his own skin.
And I do love Amanda and Kyle. Carl thanked, Amanda and Kyle for being so supportive of him and nudging him in the right direction all along. They never gave up on their friend. And like, let's not forget that Carl did show up like without a laptop with like blow pouring out of his nose to a work meeting. Like he was not okay. And Kyle and Amanda did not give up on him. You know, they and immediately when he got sober, they brought him back on to Loverboy. Like it was Lindsay who was getting in the way of like that progress. So, you know, they never gave up on him, and like what a lovely return on investment that they got from Carl. So
yeah,
I appreciate that long-term friendship. It's lovely.
I mean, Carl didn't show up to some meetings, or he showed up so like hung over.
And
Loverboy meetings.
High.
Yes. And Kyle stayed by his side. Okay, you're right. And he told him he was disappointed, like it wasn't okay. He didn't just seethe behind closed doors and act passive aggressively towards Carl. I don't know if
just fire him and be like, fuck off. He was like, you need help because this isn't who you are.
Yeah.
And you're ruining your whole life.
Yeah.
And my business.
You'll get there, Higgy, when you start another season. I don't know how many seasons in it is when Carl starts working for Loverboy, but Flower Boy. That's what we learned the non-alc Lover Boy is. Flower Boy. Which...
No, Flower Boy is a THC drink.
Oh, shit.
I was like, I'd never heard of that. And so, of course, again, I looked up everything during this reunion, and that's what it is.
Listen, I don't think I'm going to buy a THC drink from Loverboy. I'm sorry.
I'm curious if that name came from the fact that he was going to be the Flower Boy.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Bravo's all over. Bravo probably gets Bravo also gets a percentage of Loverboy because it's like so. I think that they do, don't they? Don't they get a percentage
there
of whatever
some,
brand ever?
Bethany Frankel clause that went into effect after she became a billionaire on Skinny Girl. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what that is. But I think, especially if you promote it, because Summer House is basically sponsored by Loverboy,
right?
And Amazon Prime and Uber Eats this season. But like, if you get that much airtime, I'm sure they get a cut.
The Amazon Prime one, me and Ramona, I had to pause for that one. I was just like, oh my God, that was so blatant. The box is like perfect. Not one scratch on the box. The tape is perfect. Like,
never the case. Oh, that's Mormon Wives.
You're talking about Sticky Lies of Mormon Wives right there.
Oh, I am?
With the Amazon. Yes. We'll get there when we talk about what we watched. Yes.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
That was insane.
That was...
Yeah, I ordered it this morning and it's already here. Can you believe it? No, I can't. Came right to your door, right to my door.
Amazon's so great, as if people haven't been ordering from Amazon since 2000, 2000? Who knows? We veer a lot in this podcast, Higgy, so, feel free to veer. Babe, it's absolutely fine. It's all relevant. So then we start the Kyle and Amanda package, and Andy says to them that they seem like they talked things out more this summer instead of fighting. What changed? Kyle says it's all about patience, and they did a much better job of hashing it out. And Andy says, bullshit, this was you not fucking up as much as you have in the past years. And Amanda says she and Kyle had a very big conversation at the beginning of the summer about what had to change, and said she had one foot out the door. And I was like, fuck yes. And the cast was shocked to hear this. Shocked. Yeah, like I was happy. And I also was like, oh, okay, she's not as hooked in as I thought she was.
Well, now that her mental health is she can see clearly once the fog of depression lifts, it's like, wait a minute, what are these things in my life that are not serving my stability and honestly happiness? Like you're allowed also to be happy, not just stable. And now she's stable and feeling unhappy. And I thought it was a pretty telling conversation when Amanda said to Kyle, he keeps doing the one thing that hurts her, and that pushes her farther and farther away every time he does. And then you're like, why aren't we friends? And she said, friendship is built on trust. I can't trust you. And I was like, I don't know if they're going to make it, guys.
I don't know if that talk was that good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Tell me.
Well, no, I'm just, they had a big talk, and then it seemed like, they're saying that, they work things out. And then as they kept going, it's like, oh, wait, there's still a lot of issues and problems happening.
True.
I don't know.
I think the end of that conversation, I think Kyle just kicked the can down the road and said, Amanda said, you're a workaholic in the week and an alcoholic on the weekends. And he's like, I will sell Loverboy and then it will be fine. And that's what I think how that conversation got resolved in that moment. But we see Amanda coming to terms with I don't trust that either, because you'll pick up something new. And it's true. He's not just going to sell Loverboy and drop into fatherhood and be present. That's a character trait. That's a personality thing. And he doesn't have it. He doesn't have drop in, be present. He has summer should be fun. That's it.
I wrote, you need to go to Al-Anon. I think, okay, listen, if I'm going to be completely honest and take her inventory and tell her what she did not ask, nor does she know me, I do not have hope that he is going to change. I really, really do not. Listen, having an alcoholic parent, he is extremely different from my qualifier. But at the end of the day, when you can't look at your own actions and know how they're affecting other people, or if you can and you still don't do anything to change it, there's no reason. Don't bring a kid into a house where there is someone that's in their addiction, whether he's working too much, whether he's drinking too much. it breaks my heart. The thought breaks my heart of kids being born into houses that have an alcoholic parent or two.
But she seems pretty clear that, like,
Mhm.
Amanda doesn't think Kyle's ready to have kids. And Kyle goes, "Are you?" And she's like, "I'm ready to have kids with someone who's ready to have kids with me." And I was
That was
like,
gnarly.
but it's so profound because if she did have a kid now, she'd be doing that alone as well. Like that's just he's
100%.
not there. And there's no indication that his behavior is changing in any significant way that would make him want to change diapers, get up 5 times a night to soothe a screaming child. It's not just cute Gemma in the dressing room. As you guys well know, it's like it's just a life of constant demand for the first 12 to 15 years. And then it's, and then it's new worries, whatever. And it's all beautiful. But like, I wouldn't trust Kyle with that. At 42, the way he held Gemma, it looked like how I held a baby when I was 17, going like, what do you do? I don't really want this,
Yeah. And just because you hold a baby, because I thought he looked very engaged with the baby. And like, it was, I've never seen Kyle hold a baby. And so I was like, okay, but that is dramatically 180 degrees different than what it is actually having a baby. That's like the fun part. He says that he uses socializing as an outlet, and he doesn't drink if he's not socializing. And he said he's not great at moderation, uses the summer as a release, and that continues to cause me trouble. Bruh, he is not being honest. He does not see what we see. This is not just like partying in your frat days, like, letting loose on the weekend and then I grind during the week. He's escaping something. He's working a shit ton and then he's drinking a shit ton.
He's 42.
Yeah.
Like that is a hard cycle to keep up.
Mm-hmm. Denial is not just a river in Egypt.
Oh, Higgy.
Waiting
And I
so
used to
long
think-
to say that.
I used to think you were a workaholic.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And I think that you had times when, like working met your needs. Like if you were working, it did not fucking matter, man. Like nothing else mattered if you were working.
Mm-hmm.
You still work really hard, but I don't think that you escape in your work anymore. And I think when you are engaged with work, like when it's a Saturday or a Sunday, you are doing it not to escape but because like it fulfills you,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like your work now is fulfillment, not escape.
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me
yeah.
if I'm completely wildly off base.
No,
I'm taking
no,
your
no.
inventory right now.
That's true. I think if it's on the weekends, it's because it has to be. Otherwise, I would totally not engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the weekend stuff is not fulfilling.
Okay.
It's just it's something that I have to do because of my role.
Of course.
Since therapy and Leo, it helps put things in perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just life experience helps put it all into perspective. Losing friends, figuring out what's important. Yeah, and being, like I said, therapy, helping you understand yourself better, so you don't have to like use work as a thing, because it could have been drugs, it could have been alcohol, it could have been my food, mine was work,
Shopping. Wow.
Yeah, that
yes.
need for like external validation.
Yes.
And I feel like if you're a cast member on a reality show, you have that need pretty prominently in the forefront of your life anyway. And and Kyle just can't get away from it. And I will say, I love staying with you guys. I always say I'm the best version of myself when I spend a weekend at your house. But Josh, like work-life balance, like that's something that is not applauded. It's like, but I feel like I see in you true work-life balance. Like you go to work, shut the door, do your business. Then when you emerge, you're present with your kid. You can hang out with your house guests. You're there for your wife. Like I never saw that as a kid. And I don't see it a lot in the industry that I work in, because you're applauded for like, oh, we had another late night. And everyone's like, oh, you worked so hard. Congratulations on writing a dick joke at 3 a.m. Way to save the world. But it's really nice to see someone like at the top of his field leading a team of people who will soon move into the top of that field as well and hopefully do the same thing. Like you can be a really successful human being in all areas of your life if you prioritize work-life balance. And I just noticed that in you. And I
Thank
don't
you.
think I've ever said that to you, but just
Oh,
because I
thank
take
you.
it for granted when I'm visiting there. I know when I hear the door close that you're done with your workday and you're going to come up and chat with me. And I won't feel like I'm bothering you or taking your time because I know you're there because you're done with work.
Speaking of, you have to come up soon. I
I
tell
miss
Ramona this all the
you
time.
guys so bad.
I listen to A Therapeutic Dose. I hear your voice, and I'm like, where is Margie? So
And I listen all the way to the end of every episode so I can hear Leo, whose voice has probably changed by now, go like, my mom is not a doctor. So cute.
He was so jealous that Josh was coming on the podcast. He's like, "Can I come on the podcast?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. We have an
Thank God
E.
you don't have
We
enough
have an E.
experience to do this.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
no, he's not ready to come on this podcast. My God,
Thank
my
God. No, he's still
Yes.
an innocent child. You guys have done a
Yes.
nice job protecting him from the likes of Jesse's and
Oh my God.
Craig's and all of that.
that's what we need to avoid. We're trying to raise a not that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job.
Yesterday, I went on a field trip with his class. One of his classmates started feeling nauseous on the bus, and he took care of her. Now, I don't condone what he did, but I am just sharing this because of where it was coming from. I gave him a Zofran, which helps with nausea and vomiting. So I gave him a Zofran. I said, put this in your pocket. If you start to feel sick on the bus, like car sick, I want you to take this. He didn't feel car sick. He saw his friends feeling car sick and said, I have this. Now, obviously, he should not have given a prescription medicine to his 9-year-old fucking friend who we don't know.
It's just charcoal, basically. It's not like he was giving her like a Xanny bar. He was
No,
like,
but
here's
I
a high
mean,
octane Pepto-Bismol, my friend.
yeah. But anyway, he gave that to her because he was feeling concerned. And then I saw him checking on her throughout the rest of the field trip. I'm just like, this is it. This is what we are going for. We're striving for an empathetic child who isn't just consumed with himself. I don't want him to be a people pleaser. I don't want him to just try to take care of people to fill an unmet need, but I don't know.
He's too young to even know how to do that.
I hope so.
He's too young. No, he's
But
too
you
young
get
to know
that
how to do
feedback. You get that feedback from people that like they you hear it like, "Oh, I'm taking care of people and people are noticing this." Like, but he's often the one that escorts an injured classmate to the nurse.
I mean,
And-
they say character is who you are when no one's looking. And I think Leo is just expressing his character.
Yeah.
That's who
I
he
do
is.
too.
He sees
I do
someone
too.
in pain and he's available to help, so he does.
He has a
I
big
love
heart,
that kid.
just like his
He
papa.
does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A viewer asks if Kyle is working too much because they're nowhere near ready. And Amanda says, yeah, for him. And he looks offended and starts blathering about his work ethic. Okay, because of my husband, I had to give Kyle some grace when he says everything he does is for their future. Higgy, talk to us. Tell us how you feel about what he said. Because I feel like this is a real driver for you.
Yeah, no, it totally that totally resonates with me. But as we were just talking about, there's balance to that too. Just thinking about your family in that singular one way is not the right way to look at it. You have to look at it holistically. And so what is the family not getting because you are so focused on this one piece? So I think there's room for all of it. And that's 2.0 talking.
That is 2.0 talking.
I didn't always feel that way, but over the last few years, it's like really, really clear that the other part is actually more important. The part of being there emotionally for your partner and your kid is the most important. If everything else falls apart, that's all you have. So I feel what he's saying, but also like it's a little bit of a crutch. It's an easy thing in our society to put out there, and then everyone goes, "Oh yeah, I get that." When he's probably using it the same way I used it to hide. What's he hiding from? What's he not addressing in his own life? It's the easiest thing to say. because our society will totally get behind that and like not think about it. Like we're thinking about it one click below what he's actually saying. Most people don't. They're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And it's noble almost, like you said, like
100.
it can be mistaken as noble. And I think Kyle's interpreting it as noble. And I appreciated what Sierra wisely suggested to Kyle. She said, why don't you enjoy the moments you have now without kids and not let the business take over your life with or without children? You've made a commitment to a lady, like just front loading your life is insane. And again, like you, Josh, we've experienced some losses of young, close friends. You're not guaranteed that you're going to get that time. So, like, fucking balance it out now, dude, just in case, somebody gets a short straw in your world. It's super
Totally.
important.
And just like what is also surprising to me is like he can't see that there's this, with all his faults, there's this woman who's just like sticking by him and trying to make this work through all this BS that he's like doing over and over and over again, repeating. And he doesn't go, oh, wow, that woman is someone I should really invest in,
Yeah.
you know?
No, it's almost
That
like
he,
she's a gnat. She's like annoying
oh
to
my
him. Like, get out of my
gosh,
face so I can get all this money set and then I'll give you what you want. It's like, what is
it's,
this?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's really sad when you think about it.
It is.